What's up, Karma Nation? Welcome back to another edition of the Cash Process. I'm your host, AC, with Ben Hostler. Tonight, we're going to talk Week 15 NFL DraftKings edition. We'll talk a little betting, little prop stuff as well. We'll talk about last week. We'll talk about what's been going on with Karma Nation. And as usual, we'll like to hear some questions. Hop in the YouTube channel. Shout out to the YouTube fam. Smash the like button. You guys have been super helpful for us this year. Give us a review on iTunes. We're all over on all the media networks. And of course, you can find all of Ben's content, our core plays, our cheat sheets, everything else under the sun for dfskarma.com and betkarma.com. Ben, I'm going to start. We had Thanksgiving holiday. We got kind of tied up there. And then last week, apologize, we didn't get to the podcast. We had some things going on at Karma. But we're back. It's Week 15. Let's talk some DraftKings NFL edition. How did your week go last week? Let's briefly talk about it, and then we'll talk about my week, and we'll look at this week. I think this week is super interesting. We talked about right before we started the pod. So talk to me about your last week, maybe the last couple of weeks. What's your vibe? What else is going on with you, whether it's DFS or real life or anything else?
Yeah, I did not have a good week 14. Got bit by a lot of that chalk that just didn't go well. Josh Jacobs, Gibson, both were really chalky. I didn't want to play Jacobs, but I ended up playing him, and that just predictably, I knew he fumbled like the first play of the game, so I knew it was chalked after that. I was like, that's great. That just kind of set the tone for his whole game. And then I had Renfro in. I ended up taking him out Sunday morning, so wasn't a great week for me. Luckily, though, we got to shout out our boy Matt. Matt, who is one of our analysts here at DFS Karma, provides core plays. I think he's won like 125,000 this season alone, just off of his.
Dude, I think it's more like 160,000.
Yeah, just
least
off
right
of his
now.
core plays. I know a few subscribers have just really just taken home so much money off of Matt's cores this week.
I think Spike has won a house.
Yeah,
off of Matt,
literally bought Spike a house. Yeah, insane,
unbelievable. Yeah, it was for the last several weeks. I'll go back and talk about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It's been a wild ride in DFS. I feel like this year, what I'm noticing is I'm looking right now at betkarma.com. I'm looking at the live odds for Week 15, and it just seems like I don't know if defenses have figured out the offenses a little bit better this year or what's going on, but I just feel like the Vegas totals in itself are much lower this year. I mean, dude, I could be wrong. I'm just saying it just feels like that way. And of course, that trickles down to DFS. I feel like there's not as many points being scored this year. I feel like you just need to again, our game's always changing, right? And I feel like I've even been changing my game a little bit this year. We talked early in the year about playing wide receiver a little bit more in the flex position. That's something I've dabbled with more this year than any other years in cash games. When I say cash games, I mean my main single entry lineups. I mean, you guys all know that have been listening and watching us. I'll have at least $5,000 a slate on my main lineup, my main cash game lineup. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. It just depends on how the season's going and how many games are on the slate. This past week, I feel like even I made another small little change, Ben. I damn well knew Josh Jacobs was the chalk. I knew he was a good play for all the reasons that you talked about in your content and everybody else at Karma. And, the projections portal was spanking me in the face. By the way, shout out to Sam, who runs all of our projections portal on YouTube right now. You guys can literally look. We'll go through it like we always do. It's free during the YouTube, obviously, podcast that we do. This updates throughout the week, but you do need premium access to obviously access this and use the function and the tools that you can sort. Ben can kind of go through that here as I talk a little bit. But I faded him, man. Like, me, I take stances sometimes in cash games. I will fade a high-owned player just because I feel like in this day and age in DFS where there's so many players on the same plays and it truly comes down to a coin flip decision. I think the week prior when you and I weren't on, I mean, me, you, and Sam had a joke that literally it came down to defense. Now, that wasn't necessarily the case 2 weeks ago, but it kind of was. Like, you actually needed a defense that had enough points because cash games were super tight. And in fact, the cash line, Ben, 2 weeks ago was higher than the GPP line. It goes to show you that the smart players are playing cash and they're making the right decisions. So therefore, I'm trying to either not cash, as lame as that sounds in cash games, in my single entry, and sprinkle in a little variance to give myself upside. I did that this week. I thought you did play Lenny Fournette. I thought he was going to be way higher owned. I mean, his guy's getting like 8 targets a week. He's like taking 5 to 6 catches home a week. I mean, these are the things that we look for in DraftKings, right? I kind of don't care about the pricing right now. And that goes back to what I just said. I'm changing my game a little bit. Like, I'm not going to get as sensitive with pricing. I'm trying to find the 3 to 4 to 5 best players, plug them in my lineup, and I'm taking the barbell approach, right? So I feel like I know, and I'm totally okay with it, and I sleep at peace at night knowing that the barbell approach is I want to strengthen one side of my portfolio of this DFS lineup, and I'm okay with the other side being a little bit more weaker as long as I have lower ownership on a few other guys, especially if I can get enough of the nucleus built. So I went with like Lenny Fournette. Dude, I thought Stephon Diggs was going to be higher owned. He freaking wasn't. And he didn't go off for me. But again, my lineup was just different by default. And frankly, I liked his ceiling. He was in my lineup. I did go with Javonte Williams. You pivoted to him. He was a little bit lower owned than I thought, shockingly enough. But that was my pivot off of Josh Jacobs. Other than that, you got to have the crux of the lineup. I did play Taysom, who was highly owned. But, you can just get a little bit different at the same time without going into these big coin flip type decisions. That's just where I'm at. Does that make sense, Ben? Or did I explain it a little too confusing? I mean, it's kind of how I said the hybrid approach, right? I mean, that's just what I like to do. It doesn't always work. But, I mean, you can kind of attest, correct, that like cash games are more challenging these day and age because everybody is on the right plays, the good plays, correct?
Yeah, you're correct.
So, anyways, no Jamison Crowder for me this week. He was the guy that really tanked for me. Just unbelievable. But anyways, we move on. We keep fighting. It's been a good year. Let's go to week 15. Let's give the people what they want, Ben. Let's start with, we're looking at the screen, the projections portal. Quarterback. This is an interesting slate. We got some Saturday games coming up. A lot of COVID news. Sucks for my Browns right now and Ben's Browns. I don't know what's going to happen there. But let's start off with quarterback. There is a guy just completely showcasing is the number one clear-cut value play on the slate. He's in my dummy lineup right now. I'm not even going to bring him up. But is he your main number one play at quarterback this week? You already know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm playing. If you're speaking of Tua, I don't know if I'm gonna play him as of now. I think that we've seen like so many like COVID situations pop up. 37 positives on Monday, another 30 today on Tuesday. So I think that there's going to be some value opening up on this slate potentially throughout the week. So that's just something that we'll keep an eye on. So I think that you got to kind of break it up into like the upper tier quarterbacks. You have like Josh Allen, Kyler. I like Hurts. Hurts is going to be good to go for this game. He's at home against a defense that doesn't have like any pass rush right now. We'll see if Montez Sweat comes back for this game, but I mean, 6,600 for someone that's going to run the ball like him, I do think is interesting. And then you have like Josh Allen and Kyler up top. Now, like you said, Tua is sticking out as the top value at 5,700. If Lamar, I don't know if Lamar's going to play. I don't know if you have like any idea on that, but I mean, if he misses,
no, I don't. I think he will play, but
yeah, if he misses, I would be more interested in Huntley than Tua. For a few hundred more or for a few hundred less, but we just don't have that news at this moment. But I do think Tua's in play. He is probably the top value as of now. But if Lamar misses, Huntley would jump above him, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, right now it's Tua for me. I mean, I feel like I made a mistake a few weeks back when they played in New York. This is now a home game. I do this in NBA too. I just love targeting against teams that play in Miami. I feel like it's a very tough atmosphere as an away team to come down there. I mean, we all know it's like a party city. It's long travel for whoever's coming down there. And I just think it's a big mismatch. I mean, I was upset at myself for making the mistake once when I saw the pricing at 5,700 on this slate. I'm going to be hard pressed to change my mind come Sunday. I mean, sure, could I get sucked in the vortex of potentially, I'm with you. Jalen Hurts is interesting. I'm not going down Kyler. I think that game will be too slow. We'll talk about that. I mean, not playing to Josh Allen or anything, although he's just been on fuego. We'll have to see with his leg as well, his ankle. But there's really nobody else. I mean, there's just nobody I want to play. And I always am trying to save money because we'll get to some other things elsewhere. Right now, for me, it's clear cut and dry. I mean, I'm playing Tua. Let's go to running back. Is there any running backs? I don't want to call it difficult this week, but we have most of the big boys off the slate, right? So by default, people are going to be paying down and paying up at wide receiver. That's how this slate's going to work. But I told Ben before the podcast, and we'll get to my little nugget later. I still think I think people are going to make a mistake this week. I think there is a small edge this week in cash games. We'll get there. But where are you looking at, Ben? Are you going back to Antonio Gibson at $6,000? I mean, Jesus, if McKissick's out, you have to go back to the well there.
I mean, when before we started this video, you had the quote, "Where are the running backs?" You were literally asking where the running backs are. I agree with you. You have Najee Harris at 7,800. That's the spend up right now, right? You do not want to play Zeke. Mixon, I think, is more GPP than cash games always. So I think if you're going to get up to someone, it's probably Najee. I mean, he still has the role that we really like. It's a tough matchup for them, even at home. Tennessee's defense, early on in the year, is one that I was attacking, and they've actually just been pretty good for the majority of the season. So it's not a great matchup, but he is probably the best spend up, but I don't think he is a must play. Outside of him, man, I think you're dropping down to the mid tier. I do think it's a 4 receiver week, at least upon first look here. I don't want to play him in cash, but your boy Cordero Patterson, this guy just scores a touchdown every week, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've been, I'm 3 max entry guy. Always have been. Basically am every week of the year. I've already made a couple dummy lineups and probably not a cash game play, but man, as you say it on a week like this, he's a lock for one of my 2 GPP lineups. And I've had a lot of success in the last few weeks. Mini little hot streak in my 3 max entry stuff. I mean, to me, and I guess maybe it's another podcast, Ben, but the Atlanta San Francisco game is the easiest game stack of the week, at least for 3 max entry. I'm not coming off that at all whatsoever. And then if you stack that game, again, this is going off tangent. We are trying to sprinkle in different things on the Cash Process podcast this year. If you are going to stack that game, this is just my 2 cents, I would do a game stack without Debo. And then in your other GPP, this is how I like to hedge things around. I do this type of thought process in golf lineups and 3 max entry. Just have a different game stack or whatever you're doing in your other 3 max entry team, but play Debo, right? Because either the game stack is going to go off with the Kittle and the Ayuk and the bring back with the Patterson, which I love, or Debo's just going to do his thing and score 3 rushing touchdowns and that game stack's dead, but you'll have another lineup potentially on fire if you hit with the other stuff. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I think that I think Barkley's sticks out at 6,500 at home. His role's been good since he came back from injury. Hasn't had any huge games, but the usage has at least been there. I'm encouraged enough to consider him. I don't think he's a must play, but I do think he is in play. I think whoever plays for the Rams is probably going to be really chalky in cash. If Henderson comes back, he's 5,900. I think he'll be an easy play. If he remains out, Sony Michel, even at 5,800, I think is going to be pretty popular at home there. And then one thing we need to monitor is James Conner is going to get an MRI on his
he's
ankle.
On my season-long team.
Why'd you say that? So he could be out for this game. And obviously Detroit, that's one of the teams that we want to target with running backs. So he could be out. Chase Edmonds has been out, but could come back. So say Connor's out and Edmonds comes back, I think we'd be interested in Edmonds. There's also a situation where Connor and Edmonds could both be out.
It'd be a lock and load. I mean, he would be locked in. I'd probably play him in all 3 lineups, honestly. Edmonds would be just the lock of locks.
Yeah. And then if him and Connor are both out, I mean, they have Eno Benjamin. We'd have to see what was going on there, but that could definitely create some value for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sam has Sony popping as our number 1 value right now. I don't know if you can click Karma value right now, Ben, and sort it.
Yeah.
For everybody watching on YouTube, you guys can see dude, this tool is awesome. I mean, I use it every day for NBA when there's slates that aren't 3 games. I don't know why that is like that. But it's just easy to like study. And like my Saturdays, man, like that's like my day, that's like my day to reserve. I got a few hours in the morning. I'm grinding and, I'm going through the portal and it's really nice. And like, there's so many things that you can click around and take notes and study. And we have this for all sports, but karma value, everybody always asks in our Discord, what should I be looking for in the projections portal? Just sort by karma value and go from there. It's literally like the only column you really need to study. And we do the math for you. You kind of hit everybody on the head. I mean, guys that I'm looking at, obviously I'm monitoring the situation, I guess, with Chase Edmonds now and James Conner. Same thing with the Rams running backs, but Jesus, you didn't bring him up. I think we joked about him before the podcast. I mean, my God, normal AC here, like I'd be playing James Robinson. Like this is a no-brainer. James Robinson, lock and cash games, 5,400. But dude, I just don't understand. Like we have to like study Urban Meyer isms to like figure out if like, I don't understand. He had 6 carries last week for like 3 yards. What is going on with James Robinson and the Jags?
Yeah, I know. Well, he got benched like not this past week, but the week before that he got benched, and it was like a whole thing. Like Trevor Lawrence came out and he was like, "I want James Robinson on the field with me," but they just like benched him. I don't know. And then there was like I saw some clip of like a TV interview with him, and they were asking him like about him getting benched and stuff. And then they come out last week and they give him 6 carries. So I don't know. I have no idea what's going on.
But I'm almost positive. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Like after the podcast and Discord, I swear Urban said today, this morning, somewhere I saw something pop on my phone that they were going to give him the ball this week. So like, let's actually monitor that because if we see enough, I'll buy into it. Like I know myself, he's 5,400. I mean, he should be good for 3 catches, 65 yards and a score. You would think. Like
they also asked Urban Meyer about some guy playing more, and he was like, "Yeah, I think he's playing more," and he didn't play like a single snap.
But then again, in cash games, like I get it. Here's one guy. I'm gonna go off the deep end, right? Okay, before we go to wide receiver here. So if you guys are paying attention, take a note. Here's my favorite leverage play of the slate, and this is how I think. I think in a 3 max entry format, and all the time. I actually thought last week. I don't know why I came off it because I was trying to get too cute. Just like all of us, we change our thoughts and our lineups. I basically was all in on the Taysom plus Alvin Kamara combo last week. And ironically enough, it was against the Jets. I'm actually not opposed just because this slate sucks and is trash. I've said this before on these podcasts. Quarterbacks don't matter, right? They're all going to get 15 points, right, Ben? Plus or minus. Like, yes, some weeks they're going to get 25. 23 points, some 18, whatever, but you're going to get 15. There's not going to be a 0, right? So that's why I'm taking a hard look at like just paying down it for Tua. I'm going to get 18 points from him somehow, some way. I mean, man, Myles Gaskin's there at 5,600. Like who else plays running back these days besides Myles Gaskin? I mean, the guy gets catches, I know there's some other Joe Blows behind him, but dude, I talk about an interesting cash game philosophy. You soak up theoretically, all the points. I mean, your ceiling is limited. I will say that, but what are your thoughts? I mean, you soak up theoretically, knock on wood, all the points.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, if we don't really get it, like any other value opening up, we're gonna be looking through that 5 to 6K range. I'm assuming because, like, there's just no must plays, right? That's over 6K. So he's gonna be in play. You have like Rashad Penny down there too. Like that's the range that we're gonna be really like researching throughout the week. So yeah, as long as he's off the COVID list, he's in play for sure.
Last thing before we go to wide receiver, these guys aren't populating because they're both splitting in the backfield. But like, you could just play Javonte Williams, I guess, or Melvin Gordon. My God, that pissed me off because you and I both had him. And Williams, I feel like should have had 3 or 4 touchdowns. They're going to get 15 carries each. And the price is actually, I don't want to say it's fair, but it's like on this slate, one of them or both of them are going to score a touchdown and have 80 yards and like a catch or 2. So I would take a look at those guys, if you're not looking at them in your main lineup, definitely in one of your other 3. All right, let's go to wide receiver. I'll steal the poll on this one because you know how I feel about where I want to go this week. I firmly believe there's other plays. I'll let Ben get to them. I just think this is a week that you literally almost start your roster with Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, and you don't blink, you don't think twice. I mean, it's Tuesday. There'll be news coming out on this wide receiver because of COVID and this guy because, like Ben said, we might be able to play 4 wide receivers this week. So that's an option. I firmly believe Devontae Adams. I mean, we know Kupp's going to be owned because Odell's out. He's going to be owned anyways. Devontae is going to be owned because he's always owned. But is it going to be owned enough, Ben, is the question. I think he's going to shred this Ravens secondary that the Browns didn't do anything against because we don't throw the ball. But their secondary is so bad right now, and not sure everybody's paying attention to that.
Yeah, I definitely with the lack of running back plays, it feels like a week that we just want to put both those guys in. Kupp, I mean, does what he does every week. Odell's probably going to be out for this game, and then like you said, I mean, Baltimore, one of the thinnest secondaries, right now. It definitely would be being talked about more coming into this week if they had played like any other team last week, right? Like if they would have played like a good team, like they probably would have really got shredded through the air. So it would have been more of, more like a discussion coming this week. But for sure, 100% agree with you. Outside of them, I don't love like Debo. I think is like the ultimate tournament play every week, right? But he hasn't been getting like targets, right? Like they've been using him more as a running back. The last few weeks. I mean, his last 3 games: 8 attempts, 6 attempts, 8 attempts. 2 targets, 4 targets, 1 target. Like he only had 1 target last week. Like they've really just been using him as like a running back, and you need him to like smash, which he can definitely smash against Atlanta. But if he's 8,200 and you're just not getting that many touches from him, like that's just more for tournaments. Deontay Johnson, obviously the projections like him, he just does what he does every week, right? Like super high volume. Gonna be tough to play him in cash if we're playing Kupp and Adams, but I mean that's probably the next guy that I would be looking at.
Before you go, I want you to go in the next tier because I let off with this one. But let me just say something about Deontay. Here's another guy, another storyline. We're late in the season, so I feel like the season always starts a little easy. Definitely gets murky, even for us in the trenches, throughout the midpoint in the season because shit happens in DFS and gambling and betting. And then towards the end of the season, it's like, who's still in the trenches? Like, seriously, I mean, there is edges, right? And I've been taking a little mental note just for me where I've made some mistakes this year. And here's a mistake that I've made a couple of times. It goes back to Hunter Renfrow, who's not on the slate. I think it's a mistake I've been making as well. I have been fading him. I don't see myself fading Deontay Johnson this week. And I kind of thought that coming into this slate, no matter what, I'm like trying to program in my brain. I don't care the price. I don't care the slate. I don't care the dynamics. So, yeah, I mean, right now, like my brain is hardwired for Kupp, Adams, and Deontay Johnson. I know there's other guys. I'll let you talk about some of the value plays, but I just want the guys who are getting 12 to 14 targets. I'm tired of looking for the Crowders and these other guys that get me 2 points, or an air ball or something like that. So PPR, give me the points, weak running back week. Let's just get the best wide receivers and move on. That's kind of my thoughts right now. Can we make it work? To be determined, right? Like we got to find value at tight end and defense and probably something in the flex.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, I think that's probably the clear top 3, at least in what we would be interested in. In the mid-tier, I mean, I think you can always consider like the T. Higgins and like the Amari Coopers, like in that price range. Like their price doesn't ever really move much. They can have spike weeks. I think they're both fine at their price. I think Van Jefferson's interesting at 5,600. Don't love that they priced him up, but with Odell out, I mean, he's gonna like get looks, right? And like it might be worth 5,600 if you factor in Odell out, obviously with Woods out as well. And then for value, I mean, I don't love any cheap plays as of right now. I think one situation to monitor is Terry McLaurin. If he can't get cleared for this game, like we're gonna get some value with Washington. Whether it be Carter, Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphrey, someone's gonna end up popping for Washington if he's out. And then the only other name I wanted to bring up, like, is Julio Jones, and it's just because he's 5,400. Like, it's just so funny to see him there.
I'm not playing him.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want to play him, but it's just hilarious that he's 5,400. Like he's cheaper than Van Jefferson on DraftKings. Like it's just hilarious.
I did give it a hard look. I know people started talking about, but when our Discord started talking about Julio, there was like multiple people talking about him. I just knew, and again, I had my My
Yeah,
wife's
I was
baby
not on
shower
him
this
last week at
weekend. I
all.
was like, you know what? If people are on Julio right now, like I better ease off. Like maybe I thought I was getting cute. I just knew better when I saw people talking about him. Like I'm getting off this. There's no point. Um, the only thing you didn't bring up, I mean, I know you may be getting to it too, is like Jesus, Devontae Parker. If you sort this, Ben, for the
Yeah.
people watching on YouTube,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it
right
makes
now,
sense
Sam, we
because
have
you
him
want to
projecting
you want to play Tua, you just
ridiculous.
stack him with Parker, right? I mean, I think
Yeah,
it makes
or
sense.
Waddle, right? I mean, Waddle's your poor man, Deontay Johnson, actually. I mean, Jesus, the more I think about it. Here we go. I'm going to trick myself. 5 seconds after I told myself not to, I'm going to wink, wink, save the 1,000 with Deontay and go to Jalen Waddle because I'll match Tua. And then watch. Waddle will get hurt. Deontay will drop 35, and I should have played Parker. I mean, the smart play right now is if you got to pick one, obviously take Parker. 4,300 clearly is a mega value right now, but I mean, Waddle is a great play. Anyone else? I mean, there's always going to be cheapies that come.
Yeah, there'll be some
Laquan
more
Treadwell.
value. I mean, I'm gonna avoid that whole situation. I think I'm just gonna wait and see on Washington, see what's going on there. Like if McLaurin's out.
We should take a look at Gabe Davis though if Emmanuel Sanders
Yeah,
is
if
out
if
too.
Sanders is out, that would be the other guy for sure. I mean, Gabe Davis is just good.
Yeah.
He's just a good player. So yeah, if Sanders is out, 100% Gabe Davis for sure.
All right, let's go to tight end. We'll finish up here in a couple minutes. Again, shout out to everybody watching. Please smash the like button. If you click that little hyperlink below on YouTube, you would literally have direct links to our same core plays that we're spending thousands on. Ben's final thoughts that we do. I mean, it's just a super easy cheat sheet. And frankly, we have that for all sports if you guys need that. There's a few other links in there as well to some of our content and some of our stuff at betkarma.com as well. So check that out. All right, Ben. I mean, my God, George Kittle I don't even know where to start with George Kittle. I mean, the dude won me a lot of money last week and the week before, but man, 7,500. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it work this week, Ben. I mean, because I told you I'm kind of spending up at wide receiver, and I don't know. Maybe people are going to play Kittle, and I'm not this week. And you're not, are you?
No, I think it's another good spot for tournaments, but I'm not going to be able to get up there in cash. I don't think. I think there's a very clear cash play as of right now for me, with Odell probably out. Is Tyler Higbee? I mean, he already got activated off the reserve list today, so he's good to go. He's only 4K. I think that's a really good play. Yeah.
How about Bates? Is that his name from Houston? I'm going to take a look at him.
Bates is on Washington.
2,800.
But yeah.
Oh, Brevin Jordan. Sorry,
Yeah,
Brevin Jordan.
Yeah, he scored
He
last
got a
week.
lot of targets last week, man. He looks athletic. I'm hearing some things. I mean, geez, 2,800 against the Jags too. Like, honestly, if Mills is the quarterback, as crazy as that sounds, I prefer that, right? Like Tyrod ain't the guy slinging it around. So we'll see. I mean, right now he's plugged into my dummy lineup. That's why I went there. He seems to be the cheap one. Although I've gotten burned quite a few times this year, paying down at tight end. I really have. I mean, I played Hooper this week. That paid off. But that's who I got right now in my lineup. So
yeah, I don't see anyone. I mean, I like Higbee a lot at 4K. I mean, you can make the case for like O'Shaughnessy was popular last week. I mean, he scored 6. He's still cheap.
If you got money, Dallas
though.
Goedert makes a lot of sense too. I mean, obviously he came off an amazing game. But 5,300, he's the guy. I mean, clearly, and it seems very fair, right? I mean, if I got money, I'm paying for him probably. I mean, I don't think you're going to have 7,500 in cash games, but you're basically an idiot if you don't play George Kittle in 3 max entry at all. That's all I know at this point in the season, right? I mean, you got to play George Kittle in a 3 max entry, or you're going to lose money probably.
Yep.
Defense, pay down, right, Ben? Every week. I don't even look at defense. I feel like till like Saturday night. Like, who's the cheap one? Who are we playing, Ben, at defense? We going down the line?
I don't see any like cheap one. I mean, you have like the cheapest First of all, the cheapest defense 2,400. There's not even anyone below 2,400.
I mean,
you have like
I guess Houston's there 2,800. But the problem is these defenses literally all score 4 points, like maybe 6 some weeks. It's just so funny. It's like, why do we have to pick one? I usually just, 2 weeks ago, I purposely took the Bengals defense against the Chargers. I knew nobody would play them, but I knew my cash lineup was so chalky that it was literally praying for like, a pick six or something. And I feel like they did score, or they had like 9 sacks, because somehow the Bengals scored like 10 fantasy points, but gave up like, 50 real life points. So I don't know, man. Just at this point in the season, you pay down. Houston's there, 2,800. My guess is they're going to be popular. That's my thoughts right now. I mean, Washington, maybe 2,700 against the Eagles, like.
Yeah,
I
I'd
guess
be fine. I'd be fine with Washington, Houston, Jacksonville, any of those teams, I guess. But I don't like that there's no like stone min defense. Like we need to get back to that. I like when they were doing last year or whatever, 2 years ago, whenever they were doing they put like the worst defense at like 1,500 or something. Bring that back.
Oh man, that'd be nice. All right. Anything else? I mean, tell them where to get all the stuff and anything else. NBA. I mean, dude, that's the thing. It's like NBA is like starting, I feel like, right? Like Christmas time. I always, feel like I play historically not much NBA DFS, but when Christmas starts, it's like, all right, game on, right?
Yeah, and then last season it started on Christmas Day because they had like the shortened season. But yeah, dfskarma.com/pricing. Get access to my core plays for every sport, Bales, our whole team, Sam, Anthony as well. Yeah, I mean it's been a pretty good basketball season, and then I mean football. I mean there's just no, literally core plays have bought people houses. I mean I don't know like what else we need to say. It's insane.
It's insane. I mean, and again, I say in the Discord channel, you guys can talk to us and there, access that product. It's literally $1.25 a day. I did the math. I can do math on a calculator, Ben. $1.25 a day to access, the NBA package per month. I mean, that's really nothing. And our platform, our product portfolio is just so nice. I mean, yes, I'm biased. I'm saying it because I own the company. I don't care. But my life, I'm so busy, man. Like, me, Ben. Like, I try to act like a customer, right? So, I mean, I'm signing in at 6:25 and I'm making a good lineup by 6:40. I mean, it's so nice that everything's right there. You just glance through the final thoughts, the same thing that we do for NFL. You glance through the projections portal, same thing for the NFL. You glance through the core plays, same thing for NFL. And then there's some free content on the website as well. So if you got some time earlier in the day and you want to read some content, it's there as well. So we would love for you guys to join with a long NBA season ahead. We know NFL is kind of winding down, but we always appreciate you guys as the holidays approach, just listening to this podcast that Ben and I have done for a number of years now. So we'll keep doing things. We got more NBA media stuff coming out. Until then, good luck this week, guys, and we will talk to you next week for Week 16.